Howdy partners. Can't decide what to do today. Climbed up a bit and there you can see down the valley there, that's the Rhine Valley. And the weather's not too bad in the valley, bit of sun. But if we go up that way into the forest, over there, you can see it's a bit cloudy looking. So I can't decide what to do. About 1 o'clock. I've got the whole afternoon if I want it. I've got nearly a full bottle of juice. Got €5 in my pocket. So I can't decide what to do. So I decided to go on the forest path after all. Can't think what to moan about today. You know, sometimes if you've got some bugbear, something to moan about, it drives you like a dynamo, like a muse. It's like get your old blues singer and he's gone blind in one eye and his wife's left him and he can't get no jelly roll and he's lost his mojo. So he can go and play the blues and play them really good. But then when he gets a new woman, gets a new fix, gets a new shack, gets a Cadillac, he's got no more blues. So he can't sing the blues anymore because he's lost his blues muse. He's lost his motivation. And often I find that kind of in a creative way, if you haven't got something to rile against, there's nothing there. I think it happens with most branches. The lonely writer, crazy artist, rock and roll bands. Start off with nothing, travelling around in a transit van, come out with great music. As soon as they get the gold-plated taps and the Hollywood lifestyle and the kind of sated and all the stuff they produce is just pap. So maybe that's why I like to go on the bike to torture myself. So I've got some pain to moan about. But at least it's honest pain. I think I was talking the other day about people with masks. Removing the mask, showing the real person behind. And one of those classic masks is the businessman's mask. A guy who pretends to be your friend so he can sell you something. And you see that a lot on YouTube. You know, when YouTube first started, it was just loads of average Joes putting up videos showing little clips of their lives and talking nonsense, and it was honest in a way. But then videos became monetized and YouTube became mainstream, often overtaking television, and then all the sharks smell blood. And now you get a whole host of people on YouTube pretending in a way to be these normal Joes being your friend on YouTube, and they build up a subscriber base, and then they hit you with the hard sell, want to sell you something. That's one of those masks that I don't like. People pretending to be friendly so they can do some business. And I've got absolutely nothing against people doing business on YouTube, but as long as they're honest about it and say they're doing business, fair enough. Not somebody who pretends they're your friend and suddenly hits you for donations or to buy this, to buy that. That just brings me around to, if anyone wants some firewood, give me a PM and I'll send you some logs. A special price of €5 each. So I found something to moan about. See if I can think of what else to moan about. Yes, I've got nothing to moan about, nothing to talk about then. Let's hope that this thing in Ukraine doesn't be a spark in the powder keg. Already had the Crimean War there. Wouldn't it be horrible if a Third World War started off because of that? Russia and America squaring up to each other. Putin and Obama, because all this stuff about climate change and climate warming and ecological stuff, that swept all the nuclear weapons debate under the carpet. But they've all got them massive nuclear weapons still, all loaded up in the silos and ready to go. You just don't hear about them anymore. And maybe I can't wait to pull the trigger. And that would be a bit of a bummer, eh? For Europe, for everyone. End of the world. Just from two Neanderthals fronting it off to each other. So I'll take a couple of pictures up here because it looks quite nice. Oops. See all these hills in the background there. If you can see that one. They've all got little castles on, and they're all little fiefs from local big men. And that's how it goes through history, isn't it? All these little tribes got a big man. And one lot they're always constantly fighting each other, and then they amalgamated and that became countries, and makes you wonder if things are starting to split up again. You've got Scotland wanting to leave UK, and you get with all these countries, Ukraine and Crimea, all these little countries want to have the borders back, and you wonder how far it'll go eventually, if it'll devolve into little tribes again. That's one reason why I haven't given up my British passport, because you never know what could happen in Europe if the Russians' tanks start moving in and they just decide to run over. It's always nice to have an island you can flee to. And my dad's got an Irish passport, so I could probably get away with going to Ireland as well. So keep your options open. Maybe they wouldn't let me back into England anyway to live. I say, no, you've been away too long. There's no room for you. I've only got room for Polish and Romanians. I remember a long time ago when I've been down in Greece working on the oranges for 6 months, and I came back to England, hitchhiked back from Greece, and this must have been about 1981, 1982, and I'd hitchhiked for 5-6 days solid, day and night, all the way from Greece through Yugoslavia, and I was absolutely shattered. And I eventually got to Calais, and I didn't have any money for the ferry, and so I went to a lorry driver and said, please take me across in the side of the cabin, in the cabin with you. He went, yeah, okay, no problem. So I got a lift on the ferry, hitched my way across on the ferry, and then I got to Dover. I went in the customs, and they said, where have you been? I said, I've been in Greece for the last 6 months. I looked at my passport and took me to a little room, gave me a full strip search, kept me in there for about 2 hours, and said I was a suspected Irish terrorist. And I thought, oh my God, back to Prison Island after being down in Greece for 6 months. That was my welcome back to England. And eventually got out of Dover and hitchhiked along the coast a little bit towards Folkestone. And I was stood outside outside of a road at a bus stop hitchhiking, and that was looking down on a military camp, and there was all these soldiers marching around in this courtyard, and I was stood with my thumb out just looking down watching them, and then one of the soldiers peeled off and come up to the fence and said, you've been observing us, move along. And I said, I'm standing at a bus stop, mate. He says, I don't care, move along. And that's how I felt when I got back to England. First of all, I was strip searched as a terrorist, and then I wasn't even allowed to stand at a bus stop. And I almost turned around and went back to the ferry port to go back to Greece. But then someone stopped and picked me up. But yeah, that was my welcome back to England, and I can't imagine it being much better now. So, you know, when the Conservatives are in power in England, it's not a good place for poor people. Never is. You should think that the government is there for the sake of the people. Whereas people are there for the sake of the government when it's Conservatives in. That's how it seems to me anyway. I didn't stay long when I got back to England. I went back up to Leeds and said hello to my mum and stuff, and then I cleared off again pretty quick. Ja. Ja, kein Problem. Oben, okay, ja. Ja.
Super. Vielen Dank.
Bitte.
Danke. Oh ja, schön, danke.
Yeah, I don't really want to disparage Britain too much, but like my mum's English, and English is my mother tongue. And I went to school and everything in England. But in the early 80s, that spoilt it for me. You know, I felt as though you were hated in Britain. And if I compare things now, if I look at my dad, for example, he worked his guts off all his life, building industry, till he reached retiring age. And if I compare that with my wife's dad, who was also, he worked in a watch clock factory, and I see the standard of living, at the difference of the pensions and healthcare. It's unbelievable. It's just like, I just get a feeling people got ripped off in England, ripped off, and that's kind of one reason why I left. I think my dad had something wrong with his shoulder, and he's waiting for months and months to get an appointment. Look at people now in England, everyone's got big gaps in the teeth because hardly anyone can afford the dentist. There's something gone wrong somewhere. I don't know what it is, but something's gone wrong with Britain. And there's some things about Britain I really love, and some things I really, really hate. But I guess at the end of the day, it don't matter where you live, really, does it? You've always got to take yourself. Covered in mud now. Lovely. Now, which way to go? That stuck in the back wheel, stopped me dead, bent a spoke there. Let's hope it still works. It'll be right. It could have been worse. That's because I've been bad-mouthing Britain. Put a stick in my spokes. So let's get going. 9 kilometres through the forest. Watch out. Another stick in my spokes. Reminds me of my old cross-country running days when I was a lad. Ooh. I think I have to go another way. This is a bit too much here. It's so wet. I haven't been raining that much recently. Yeah, that thing about talking about countries, I didn't really want to disparage Britain. Britain's got its good points and its bad points. And nationalism anyway, that's boring as hell to me. It just doesn't interest me. People get a big thing about the countries. Russians loving Putin, Americans loving Obama, saluting flags. Ridiculous in my mind. That's nice, isn't it? Little stone. Cane. Let's take a picture of it. You can put the ISO up a bit more. Yeah, I've seen all that nationalism stuff on my mum's side of the family. She's got 6 brothers, And they were all in the army, they were all squaddies, British Army. My granddad, both my granddads on both sides fought in Second World War. My great granddads fought in the First World War. They all came home alive though. And that's one thing that kind of bugged me when there was, you know, they went off to war and stuff and fought for the country, but stuff that's happening now, you know, like after the Second World War when they first started making the welfare system so that people didn't have to live in back-to-back poverty and like it was in Victorian times. And now it's going back to Victorian times. And the workhouses soon. Not long. And all the exploitation's been put over to other countries, hasn't it? All the worker exploitation, now it's just Chinese and Eastern countries working for peanuts, Indians working for 10 pence a day, shelling cashew nuts. And the only people who are making any money is the middlemen, the ones who buy cheap and sell dear. But that is profit, and that's good. So, I'm in a good mood. I'm not going to bring myself down thinking about all that crap. Like I was talking about the discrepancy between my father-in-law and my father, the difference in the standard of living, the pension they get and the level of healthcare. Right, yeah. Father-in-law, he worked in a watch factory, a typical Black Forest, in a little clock factory he used to work. Well, it was a big clock factory actually. But he ended up being the union guy. And the unions even work different here. Betriebsrat it's called. It all seems so civilised compared with the British one. You've seen the film I'm Alright Jack? In Britain it's just like in the army really, you've got all the privates, squaddies, soldiers, the workers, and up in the offices you've got all these public schoolboy toffs who are running the place, just like officers. And it's a war, it's a class war, and it's just not as strong in Germany. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's successful here, because one strata of the society doesn't regard the other strata as scum. And everyone's got their part to play. Not that one's scumbags and the others are elite. That's what the problem is with Britain. Unless you're a part of the elite, then it's not so good. Unless you're a merchant. I was about shafting somebody else. I'm not saying it's perfect in Germany, of course it's not. And the amount of baggage that Germans are carrying around, you know, the Second World War and the Jews and Hitler and all that lot. But I'm just saying, like, see that little hut we just went past there? I'm sure if that was in Britain, it would get burned down. Just for this pure vandalism of it. Or here you see people have put flowers out in boxes on the houses just to make it look nice. Whereas in Britain you get some kid who's locked out of the society, kicking against it, and to get rid of his frustration he'd rip that flower box off and chuck it in a bag somewhere. So, I don't know. There's enough pontificating for today. Go home now. Have a great day. Ja. Ah, okay, ich warte. Ah, okay. Musst dir keine Angst machen.